Beautiful morning to you. It's the 22nd, right?
20th.
20th. Wow. How time flies. Welcome to AM Chat. My name is Benjamin Peters, and Wofa is here. She's looking brown and pinkish.
A very good morning to you, Benjamin Peters.
How are you?
I hope you had a good weekend.
Well, it was good. It was good. Thank God that my president is back.
Yes, I'm particularly excited about
He was
that.
looking taller than usual.
And looking healthier than usual.
Looking healthier. I think that's the most important thing. Quite a lot of Nigerians were expecting that he was going to come back.
After 10 days.
Yeah, I think Friday or so, and we're
Friday.
told that he's going to be back on Sunday. So now that he's back, we expect that something is going to happen. I mean, in terms of quickly moving on. Is 10 days away, or 12, can I say 12 days
12
away?
days away.
I think should be another moment for, another rethink, re-strategize.
And restructuring his mind.
More like a retreat for him.
I totally
So we expect to see something fresh and something new.
I mean, that's the word. We expect to see something fresh and something new. I was
Yeah.
just wondering, this morning, how did the president take the new policies by the CBN at heart? How did he react to those policies that the CBN has just come up with? That was a big question on my mind. But let's see. I mean, the president is back now, so let's see what happens. The fight against Ekweremadu and Saraki has already started. I mean, I was really amazed when I was going through the papers this morning.
Well, I think again the executive must tread softly. So that there's no serious rancor between the legislature and the executive. Because once there is no cohesion, there is no peace, then we are in for it.
Let me ask you this question, Benjamin Peters. If it was the president who was, I wouldn't say witch hunted, if it was the president who was hunted, and to an extent he's having issues with other arms of government, don't you think it would have affected his depth of governance to the Nigerian people?
Of course.
So now, if Saraki and Ekweremadu are being hunted for fresh charges, there's no way you tell me or anybody would say the legislature would not be affected.
Yeah, but
and if the legislature is affected, it trickles down to the Nigerian people.
Definitely. I was just thinking that ordinarily the executive or the presidency should just allow things to lie low. Let's face the economy. And that's what Nigerians are all about.
The economy is
Saraki, for one, not trying to hold brief for him, at least has shown some high level of leadership quality.
I totally agree.
In the Senate.
I totally agree.
It's not a question of whose party whosoever belongs. Because, again, if you look at it, most of the senators in the House of Reps, they were all former PDP members. And so it's just the nomenclature, the change, and the president should look at it and say, look, the country comes first. It's not a question of hunting down or Saraki or Ekweremadu and all.
Even if they erred, a lot of people would say, yes, these people had committed very, very unpardonable offenses. But come to think about it, would you rather go after these people at the detriment of the economy, the detriment of the masses, the detriment of the movement of activities in the country, or you'd rather focus on what should bring positivity to the people and let them be?
But I just feel that if you push the Senate to the wall, they're likely going to fight back. And that will bring a lot.
Let's see how it unfolds in the next few days.
Okay, when we come back, we'll be taking a quick look at the pages of the front papers and, of course, much more. Interestingly, during the week, we were able to speak with Chief Olabode George over the crisis within the PDP. We'll bring that excerpt of that interview today. A lot more after this time. All right, so welcome back. It's time to take a look at the front page of the newspapers on the paper review. Yemi Daniels has just joined us. Thank you, Yemi, for coming on the program. So, WOFA is going to kick off with a new Telegraph.
Yes, the New Telegraph papers has several stories here with the screaming headline saying Black Sunday, 14 die in Lagos Ibadan Expressway auto crash. That's on page 8 and 9. 3 students shot in Ondo State. Herdsmen kill 3 in Ogun State. Flood ravages Nasarawa, claims 3. Fresh graduate kills mother over 20,000 naira. That's really sad. SGF plotting to impeach me. That's coming from Governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, on page 37. Niger Delta vengeance, fighting for Biafra, not amnesty, IPOB. That's on page 40. Ugwai appoints new Telegraph editor as senior special advisor. That's on page 3. Kalu welcomes Buhari, 6 cooperation, on page 44. Economic woes, 150 billion naira, state airports in jeopardy. Cautions trading expected as forex reforms begin today. That's on page 3. Forgery case, Senate accuses executive of plotting coup, says APC leaders. APC leaders also want to jail Saraki Ekweremadu on page 2. Single motherhood raises risk of heart disease on page 38. Forgery case, Senate accuses executive of plotting coup, says APC leaders want to jail Saraki and Ekweremadu. That's the latest development in the legislature. What are your comments on it?
Well, I recall that when the Senate President and his deputy came on board and there was allegation of fraudulent what have you. And I think they haven't concluded investigation. The Attorney General felt it good to at least file proceedings against them. And the Senate is also arguing that it's purely an internal issue in the Senate. It's a tricky situation, actually. But the bottom line is this. I think it's high time we shift our sword as far as these issues are concerned, because the more internal wranglings you have in the government, the less we will be able to govern. When governance suffer, Nigerians suffer. As it is today, the economy is in a bad shape, worst of shapes. And if you now create a political upset, it will simply worsen the situation to a very large extent. So I think we need to tread very softly as far as these issues are concerned.
Well, I'm just tempted to ask, does the presidency really enjoy controversy? There's been so much controversy since he came into office. Is it for him, is it really appropriate for his government? Because we're a year and how many weeks now?
Yeah, and a few weeks.
Before you know it, it's 4 years.
Some months.
Yeah, so we will just be swimming in murky waters of controversy. What is your advice, really?
I think the president is a what do you say, a left-wing person who wants things done right all the time.
At the speed of light, because he wants things just like
but
the military.
unfortunately, there are no institutional support for all of these things. So that's what is having problems with it. So to that extent, I think the president needs to be a little bit more realistic about the Nigerian state. That we are not in a very well structured environment. So to that extent, think about it. Saraki is still having issues with Saraki's case. You would have thought that with the hue and cry about Saraki, it should have gone down. The fact that Saraki isn't down yet simply means there are no support for such things that the president wants to do.
Okay, quickly now, the Daily Sun, forgery. Senate draws battle line. Which a writer accuses presidency of attempt to cow legislature with case against Saraki Ekweremadu on page 6. And Ogun River, thousands turn Kara to tourist site. This is page 39 and 38. And Buhari returns, says, I am okay. And of course, the Edo State gubernatorial primaries, how Obaseki clinched the APC ticket. You can take this you can get all this on the front page of the Daily Sun. But Yemi, what attracted, because I heard so many people saying, they were talking about it, that the Kara, the whole water turned into sand or something?
And grass, and it's now more or less a dry ground.
Mm-hmm. But how
all of a sudden, I actually think, people have attributed it some miracle of some sort, but I think it's high time government mobilized environmentalists to go into that place and do some meaningful research. Let us know the ecological dynamics that played out there. We cannot just assume that it's a miracle
is
from
it
God.
Economic or spiritual dynamics?
Ecological dynamics.
Okay.
Because some environmental things, environmental analysis needs to be done there. What actually transpired in the soil soil sectors
Okay.
to have metamorphosed into a dry land from a river? You understand? It's sudden because from the look from what people are saying, it wasn't there a few days ago.
Okay.
They just saw it yesterday or 2 days ago, and so people were just shocked, what's going on here? So it is a circumstance.
People were working on it.
Oh yeah, people. I saw it online. People
riders,
walked on it. Okada riders came on it and everything, and they didn't quite sink. Some people even wrestled on it, just to test how firm the ground was, how big the ground is. So I think the next line of action is that government should look at it. What actually transpired? What impact does it have on the immediate environment? What impact does it have on the ecological situation in Nigeria?
Okay, quickly now.
The Leadership newspaper is up next, and the streaming headlines on the Leadership newspaper says banks BDCs targets $21 billion. Banks BDCs target $21 billion annual diaspora remittances. That's on page 6 of the Leadership. Regime will help Nigeria adjust to low oil price. That's coming from Fitch. Rewan hails Dangote over capital market stability. Other stories, Access Bank offers support to Lagos KB rice mill projects. That's on page 6. Pegasan threatens strike over anti-labor policies on page 7. President Muhammadu Buhari returns from UK vacation, says I'm okay. That's on page 4. Forgery suit against Saraki Ekweremadu, coup against legislature coming from the Senate. Atiku hails Borno governor over achievements on page 4. Banks BDS targets $21 billion annual diaspora remittances. So, should I suffice to say that banks and BDS in diaspora will be remitting at least $21 billion every year?
What it simply means, to the extent that a lot of money come from overseas to people in Nigeria, people send money to their friends and well-wishers in Nigeria. I think that's that they are with the current one market structure that CBN has created, beginning from today. It is expected that a lot of people will send in money, and they do think that that money will actually will make the foreign exchange market a lot more interesting. But the question is this: in comparison to what is necessary, what we need on a daily basis, I do know that Nigeria needs about $4 billion daily for its import needs. Now, by the time you look at $21 billion and $4 billion, you understand? There is a massive, massive shortfall there. And how do we cater to this? So if you ask me, we might be having a whole lot of problem with this new economic, a new foreign exchange policy, because it suffices, it's effective where there is a level of export. Nigeria is largely import driven. What it simply means that entrepreneurs will suffer, businesses will close down because the market is driving.
But if we're more export driven, this will
lovely policy if they ask me.
Okay, quickly now we'll take a look at West Africa business news. Edo APC primary, 11 contestants keep mute, alleged irregularities. And of course, CBN's new flexible forex trading begins. Nigeria economy and the CBN. You can also take a look at the NNPC reinvesting part of 12.9 billion naira energy dividend. You can get this on page 15. And Bayelsa government creates website on monthly transparency. This is on page 42. And FIRS boasts Fowler lists benefits of taxation to Nigeria. All this you can get on the West Africa business news. Nothing much really. Okay.
Yes, the Daily Trust is next, and the final paper for review from my end. The screaming headline here says, latest on forgery case, Saraki Ekweremadu set up for remand in Kuje, coming from the Senate on page 6. 19 killed as tanker bus collide on Lagos-Ibadan road. That's on page 8. May their souls rest in peace. Ramadan timings for Lagos. You could find that on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Buhari, I am okay now. That's the pictorial on the front page of the Daily Trust. Federal government states spend 4% of budget on health. That's on page 10. 3 shot in Ondo Poly as police students clash. That's on page 12. CBN's new forex policy starts today. That's on page 15. Next.
Okay, quickly, finally, we'll take a look at the Daily Times plan to arraign its leaders today. Senate wants Buhari. This you can get on the front page of the Daily Times. And talking business, 9 billion debt, NDAs to close monthly overheads, says HOS. You can get this on page 12. Militants should be treated like criminals. That's coming from Shell. You can get this on page 81. Well, Yemi Daniels, militants should be treated as criminals. Coming from the MD of Shell, this is not good at all.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably inviting some bombings, if you ask me. Well, there is no, we're not saying that militants are actually criminals, if you look at it properly. Well, I've always said this, that interest is legitimate anywhere in the world. It's the way and manner you pursue your interest that determines whether you're doing the right thing or not. But you ask ourselves, now, how did these people become militants? The programs we initiated initially, the amnesty program, was it well followed through? Was the program well conceived? Was it a case of throwing a temporary solution to a permanent problem? And all of those things are the things we need to put into perspective to ask ourselves, how do we go forward from this situation? Because we cannot afford a repeat of this.
Very quickly, there's something that has been going on. I think it's on the Tribune, Punch, and a few other papers we didn't review today. It's about the sex scandal with the House of Reps overseas. I mean, if we talk about ourselves as a developing community and we want to compete with the best global practices, I think it's a shame on all of us if truly our reps, our representatives were involved in the scandals that Mr. Nwissel has accused us of. But what are your comments exactly? I mean, there are lots of girls in Nigeria. Did we have to go that far away to disgrace ourselves or open our dirty linens in public?
Well, the question we should be asking ourselves is that how much of value do we place on the female gender in Nigeria? Now, to that extent, that was why you noticed that the gender equality bill was thrown out of the National Assembly, because they saw it as an affront against the male gender. So when you see men like that doing all of that, there is no way the women perpetrate it outside the shores of Nigeria, because it becomes habitual. So they just think they could get away with. If that's true, if the allegations were true, well, it's an embarrassment to Nigeria. Honorable members of the Assembly are behaving dishonorably.
Thank you very much, Yemi Daniels, for coming on the paper. We're sorry we couldn't get you all the major newspapers this morning, but I think virtually all the papers were carrying out the same thing. It's still AM Chat. When we come back, of course, we're going to be going straight into our interview segment. And we have quite a lot lined up for you. Thank you, Yemi.